Welcome back, kiddos. We're in the book called Chemical Interactions. You can access this book on fossweb.com, or you can access this book by downloading it onto your iPad directly from the app called Foss eBooks. So today we're in the article called Elements of the Universe, and by now, from the directions in Canvas, you should have split screen the video you're watching now with the notes over here that are in Edpuzzle. And the reason they're in Edpuzzle is so that you can write or type your answers. So let's begin. This first page is called Elements of the Universe, and we are going to be looking for the answers right here in this first gray box. So let's read the questions first. How many naturally occurring elements are in the universe? And how can so many elements create so many substances? And so this is a picture of the universe, and this is going to be information we find on this first page. So read along with me in this video, or if you prefer, you can turn off the video at this time and read it yourself and answer the questions yourself. By the end, you will have to turn in these notes as it says in the directions and take a quiz. Let's begin. Page 15, Elements in the Universe. Just as an alphabet can form thousands of words, a mere 90 naturally occurring elements make up everything on Earth and in the vast universe. All across the universe, huge stars explode and send giant clouds of gas and dust into space. About 5 billion years ago, in a region that would become the solar system, gravity pulled some of that gas and dust together. The small bits combined to make larger and larger over millions of years, finally forming the sun, the planets, and everything on them. Everything in the world, including you, is made of stardust. What was the stardust made of? Elements. Particles of all 90 naturally occurring elements flew around in that space cloud, and when Earth formed, all 90 of those elements became part of Earth. So let's go back to our question. The first question is, how many naturally occurring elements are there in the universe? And we heard there were 90 naturally occurring. How can so many elements create so many substances? Well, we learned from the caption, actually, that like the alphabet, elements can combine to make new substances. Just like letters of the alphabet can recombine to make new letters make new words in the English language. Okay. Now I've walked you through how to take guided notes. I will do one more question with you, and then I'm just going to continue to read. As I read, you should pause the video and answer questions and then resume the video. So I will walk you through one more answer, and then the rest is up to you. What are we looking for? To be considered matter, something must blank blank and occupy blank. So something about matter, let's figure that out. Turn the page 16. Elements in the sun. Our star, the sun, has mass and occupies space. It is matter. Whoa, that sounds familiar. Something that has mass and occupies space. There we go. So I've got my next answer. The sun is no exception. If you could separate the sun's elements and organize them in a pie chart, the wedge of hydrogen would be largest. The Sun is about 75% hydrogen by mass. The next largest wedge would be helium. The Sun is about 23% helium. The next three elements are very small wedges, 0.9% oxygen, 0.3% carbon, and 0.1% nitrogen. The Sun is mostly hydrogen and helium with small amounts of other elements. What elements do you think make up Earth? The Sun, the atmosphere, your body? In your notebook, record your predictions. The planet we live on, Earth, is made up of 90 naturally occurring elements, but the elements are not equally abundant. Some elements are common, while others are extremely rare. Those elements in the periodic table that you have never heard of are the rare ones. Earth and the Sun have different amounts of the elements. The most abundant element on Earth is iron, 35%. The massive core of the planet is mostly iron. Next are oxygen, 28%, magnesium, 17%, and silicon, 13%. These three elements are the main elements in minerals and rocks. They also make up the largest part of the planet, the outer layers called the mantle and the crust. Page 18. The other major elements that make up Earth are nickel, 2.7%, sulfur, 2.7%, calcium, 0.6%, and aluminum, 0.4%. The remaining 82 elements together make up a tiny 0.6% of Earth. It might seem that Earth is a pretty simple place. It's made mostly out of a dozen or so elements. But Earth's composition is not simple. It is not the number of elements that determines how complex things are. It is the way the elements combine to make different substances. These few elements can combine to make millions of different materials. That's where the wonderful variety on Earth comes from. Elements in the ocean. The ocean covers almost 3/4 of Earth's surface, and the ocean is deep. That adds up to a lot of water. Water, H2O, is made of two elements, hydrogen and oxygen. For this reason, the ocean is 85% oxygen and 11% hydrogen by weight. Seawater is salty because it contains a lot of other elements. The most common salt is sodium chloride, NaCl. As a result, chlorine, 2%, is the third most abundant element in the sea. The sodium, 1%, is the fourth most abundant. Many other kinds of salt are dissolved in the sea too. All 86 of the other elements found on Earth are in the sea as well. For billions of years, water has been washing across the land, flowing into rivers, and making its way to the sea. All the elements dissolved by water on land end up in Earth's ocean. That means there's actually some gold in seawater, but the amount of gold is so small that it wouldn't be worth the expense to get it out. Both Earth's land and Earth's ocean contain the same elements, all 90 of them, though most are found in trace amounts. Page 20. Even the invisible air around us is matter made up of elements. Nitrogen is by far the most abundant element in Earth's atmosphere. Clouds are made of water droplets, so they consist of hydrogen and oxygen. Elements in the sky. The atmosphere surrounding Earth is matter in its gas phase. Matter is made of elements. What elements are in the atmosphere? The atmosphere is mostly nitrogen, 78%. The second most abundant element is oxygen, 21%. The third most abundant element is the noble gas argon. Less than 1% of the atmosphere is argon. The other elements in the air are present in small quantities. Water in the air has the element hydrogen. Carbon dioxide gas in the air has the element carbon. Smoke from fires and exhaust from industries and motor vehicles add to the air. Some exhaust adds carbon dioxide to the atmosphere, which affects Earth's climate. Other exhaust contains elements that can damage plants and animals. Mercury, lead, and some substances containing sulfur and nitrogen can be health hazards. Now we're at the end of our notes and the end of our reading, page 21. Elements in you. You are made of elements in the periodic table. How many of the 90 elements do you think it takes to make a human? You probably have trace amounts of every element in your body. That's because elements are found everywhere, including our air, water, and food. For instance, helium in the air is in tiny amounts. Small amounts of helium enter our bodies when we breathe. We do not need helium to survive, but it appears in our bodies anyway. Other elements are essential for life. We need tiny amounts of some elements, like chlorine and iodine, to stay healthy, but we need large amounts of others, such as carbon and oxygen. Our natural interactions with the world around us, breathing, eating, drinking, produce an ongoing exchange of elements between our bodies and our surroundings. The human body is about 75% water. Much of the rest of the mass of your body is made from the element carbon combined with other elements. Carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen combine to form carbohydrates, sugars and starches, lipids, oils, fats, and waxes, and proteins. Proteins also contain nitrogen. Skin, muscle, fat, and organs are made of carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins. The tough, rigid parts of the body, like teeth, bones, and cartilage, are rich in element calcium. Blood contains a lot of iron. Potassium and sodium are needed for nerve and brain function. Quite a few elements make up our bodies, but when you add it all up by mass, about 98.5% of the human body is composed of only 6 elements. They are oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, calcium, and phosphorus. The remaining 1.5% is a small amount of a lot of different elements. Even if you are made of elements, your trillions of cells are mostly water. About 2/3 of your body weight is oxygen, which combines with hydrogen to form water. Last page, 23. Trees and other plants are mostly carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. So are honeybees, hummingbirds, horses, humans, and any other organism you can think of. Most living organisms are chemically very similar to humans, so it's pretty safe to say that all life is based on the same 6 elements. Trees and other plants are mostly carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, just like humans. So are birds, insects, and spiders living among the plants. And anything we use that comes from organisms such as wood, leather, paper, cotton, fabrics, plastics, food, and fuel, also made of these elements. So, what elements are found in the universe? The answer is all of them. And which elements are abundant? Only a few. Common matter is made mostly of just a handful of elements. Go back to your predictions from the beginning of the article. Update the list to include information from the article. Take a close look at the think questions here and pause. These think questions are going to be used in the quiz following these notes. So long.